Gamzly, do the intro.
Welcome, Arcadians. That's all I got. There's Luke,
Smooth.
there's JT, and there's Asa, you know? Welcome. I got nothing. Thanks for sneaking up on me. You know what I will say? What really pushed me back more than your intro drop on me is JT was angry again in Discord. I don't understand what's up with JT in the green room, you know? He just brings all his anger and hate and angst. I don't get it.
We had a little chat about it before because, like I was talking about being on the podcast, and he promised that he would be nice to everybody in the green room, and then burst in full of anger, abusing everyone left, right, and centre.
What if I just left? What if I just left my cat here? Secondly, I'm going to go to my independent adjudicator, Luke. Luke, can you please confirm or deny the bullshit that is being discussed right now?
I mean, I was pretty scared, to be honest, JT, after that tirade that you went on. So I'm just not going to get involved, lest I be.
That's the problem. Is I just can't stop punching people. That's the issue.
Yeah,
so,
that's the issue.
Yeah.
Well, with
Hi,
that,
everyone. Welcome to Gaming Arcadia.
yes, expand, JT. Thank you for coming back on and talking to us. There is a cat with you. I don't know. You do a little intro for yourself. Tell people again who you are.
I'll do a little intro for myself. Well, these guys very generously introducing me and also having me back on here. This is Pumpkin. I was going to say, if you can stop clawing my leg. This is my big boy Pumpkin. He's come to say hello. He's doing good. He's having a jolly time. I am Jonathan Garrett from Burly Bird Media. We do all of the things. We have podcasts, we have live streams, and a really jolly Discord, and we are very, very grateful and honoured to be even just 2% part of the Gaming Arcadia community. Both all the gents assembled here around me, wherever this has been laid out, but also all of you in chat. We consistently and always feel so welcome, and it is just a treat to be hanging out with you for a jolly podcast.
Oh, that's very sweet. I feel inclined to forget the trauma of the green room and be polite for the rest of this show, but it was real deep trauma.
That's how I do it. It's all a big lie.
Yeah, absolutely. Luke, you weren't here last week. Welcome back. You've got a slightly different setup going on. Are you noticing that your room is any warmer than it was previously?
It's about this. It's actually a little bit cooler, but the various lights do flicker when I boot up certain games. You know, like in and out, because I think the national grid isn't prepped as such for the wattage of this PC. So
it's not ready for you.
Not ready. No. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's good to be back.
Has your PC building exploits been smooth sailing, or have you had any trouble?
It's really easy, actually. Yeah, it was really good. This one, sometimes it can be a bit finicky, but this case is ginormous, which is very helpful when you're building. And I didn't really have any issues, and I haven't had any issues with any performance or anything like that. Temperatures have been excellent, really good. And yeah, it's been a delight.
You got a 5090, right?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's a masterpiece of a GPU, isn't it?
It's a big boy.
It's just it is bigger than my laptop, but
yeah.
I bet you get all the frames in Oblivion. All of them.
I do get every frame. Yeah, every frame that's available, I do get it. Which is nice. And then I moved my other PC to the living room, so that took like 2 minutes to set up, and then I've been using that in there, and that's been fun as well, like a different experience. Trying to change some stuff to make it more console
friendly
ish. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
had that been the priority for you going in, Luke? That you wanted it to be sort of, yes, it's got the raw power that PC offers, but you wanted the flexibility of the play space to be able to sort of use it like that?
Yeah. I think when it's also just because it's when it's in living room, the distance is so much greater, so it's very fiddly to like have to pick up a keyboard and mouse, you know, because there's not a natural setting to put those things down. So I wanted it to be just kind of, and I've nearly done, but I've decided I'm just going to do a fresh installation of Windows and just do some very specific things, you know, minimal software over the top, just to make it, you know, a bit more console-like in its approach, just so that it's you know, it will effectively be kind of the PC/Xbox of the living room. So
nice.
So yeah, it's been cool, and it's been cool. Just, you know, like I booted up Cyberpunk the other day, which obviously I finished, but I just wanted to see it on a, you know, a much bigger display, and I've got a really good sound setup, and it was kind of blew my jocks off, actually. It kind of reminded me how amazing Cyberpunk looks and sounds and performs, and it was fantastic. It was
great. The whole like surround sound. Do you have like the surround sound?
Yeah, I've got an Atmos setup, so you know, it's kind of as you walk through Night City, and you can hear like all the voices, and then you get like the up-firing speakers, like, you know, the kind of ATV things that go overhead. Like it's really cool.
That's awesome.
Really cool.
I feel like Cyberpunk is almost like, for this current generation, has become like the Crysis, where like it was like, can you run Crysis?
Yeah. It's very much
where it is now. It's become that benchmark, hasn't it? Which is
it very much occupies that segment still, even, you know, years after its release on PC.
Yeah.
It's just it's just an incredible technical achievement, I think, above all else. Even if you don't like the game or you don't like the story or whatever, like, you know, I think objectively it's an outstanding technical game.
Yeah, that engine seems to be the sad loss of the studio.
Yeah,
they're not really going to use it, right?
Yeah, they're using UE5.
That's sad.
Yeah, that's really sad. I know why they're using UE5, and it's partly because it's just easier to recruit developers and get them up to speed very quickly because it's so ubiquitous. And obviously I think they're working really closely with Epic to try and help it be better for open world games, because it will have to be for The Witcher 4. But with that comes the loss of the Red Engine, which is an incredible piece of technology.
Yeah.
So
what if there's it could be like a PR beat, try and save some face given the launch of Cyberpunk. How much of that you can attribute to the engine, I'm not sure, but maybe it was just a case of kind of they're trying to wipe the slate clean a little bit.
Yeah, I think
something really, you know, ubiquitous and well used.
Yeah, but just a shame for us all, because it is a fantastic engine. It runs incredibly well. Even you know, obviously it had that really rough launch on consoles, but on capable hardware, it's an incredible experience.
Hopefully they'll still be as ambitious when they are using Unreal Engine 5 and still be willing to kind of pioneer new things and extend the engine out in ways that people don't expect. Because the Red Engine was cool on Cyberpunk. The way that they kind of dovetail with everything that NVIDIA are doing has been neat. They've given us all the path tracing and all the fun stuff. I had, a long time ago, a living room PC set up, and I had a Nerdy Tech Couch Master, which is a very exciting name for branding PC equipment. And it's just two cushions and like a plastic shelf that you could put your keyboard and mouse on. Nerdy Tech Couch Master.
Nice.
I've still got it somewhere, but I don't very often visit the living room anymore.
Words.
Yeah, that's the reason that I got it.
Like a band name.
Not necessarily a good band, but yeah.
No, yeah. I that wasn't qualified in that.
Gamzly.
Yes.
How you been?
I've been okay. I'm still marveling, after I recovered from that attack from JT, I'm really marveling on how you centered my camera this time on the podcast, which is really excellent.
No, Gamzly, you've learned that there are wheels on your chair, and you have sat in the correct place in your room this time. I've changed nothing.
Not at all. I have not moved this chair since the last week, because this is not my main homestead. But beside the terrible weather still, which is crazy, it's just been raining nonstop in Montreal, which is kind of garbage. Like I like to run outside, and I was really excited when the winter announced its end, just to be disappointed about all this rain. And it's kind of chilly as well. I hate running in the cold, so I've had to use the treadmill inside, and it's been horrendous for me. But that's given me opportunity to spend some time on the couch with Cleo watching a bunch of TV shows that I'm sure I'll get into a little bit later. Last of Us and Andor, which I think are just freaking incredible. And games have been amazing. So I've been having a good week, especially with the games that dropped this week, which are, I mean, some of the best games to come out in a very long time.
Excellent. And yeah, well, let's start indeed, because today, as we were just discussing, before JT burst in raging at everyone, we were just discussing that actually, in terms of gaming news, we've had some fantastic releases this week, but kind of dry on otherwise announcements and things, which means that our usual structure for the show, where we talk about the games that we've been playing and then we talk about the news and the topics, there's just 100% overlap, pretty much, because they're going to be the same things. So we're gonna savor them. We're going to talk about the things that we've been playing, and we made as well start making up words, because who gives a shit anymore, right? We might as well start with Tuesday that Oblivion came out. I'm going to go with Tuesday. So we knew that it was coming at some point this week, and it came in style because it's actually been very well received. But the remaster for the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is out. It's available. People are playing it. People are loving it. Let's talk about that first. Luke, you mentioned that you've had all of the frames on that game, so I know you've been dabbling with your new PC. Talk to me. Talk to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's I actually tried. I don't know if I've tried this on the new PC. I tried it on my old PC, which is
the crusty old,
very capable. Yeah. But yeah, so I tried it on that, and it was funny because I was like, okay. Like I booted it up and I was like, okay, don't give a shit about any of the character customization stuff, because all I really wanted to do, I had a very limited time window to kind of just test it. So I was like, I just want to get out of the sewers. Like, that's all I want to do, because I want to see the world and I want to see how it performs.
And you hate Patrick Stewart.
And I hate Patrick Stewart. He's a knob. So I was like, okay, let's go on.
Jesus, what's Patrick Stewart ever done?
Getting shot.
Fucking arsehole, that incredibly talented actor.
No,
by the way, it's
he's
Sir.
A G, really. He's great. Sir Patrick Stewart. So yeah, I mean, I booted it up, and obviously in the sewers it runs incredibly well, as you can imagine, because it's just all indoors and stuff. And it was really like Oblivion. Is easily, I think it's a lot of people's favorite Elder Scrolls, and for a lot of people, including myself, I played Morrowind, but I wasn't that into it. But Oblivion was my first real Elder Scrolls that I played start to finish multiple times, and I got it for the 360 back in the day, and I loved it. So it's really nice to go back, to a very familiar environment, but also one that looks completely different in many respects to what it actually looked like in the day. Very faithful, and also just very technologically advanced now. So that was really cool. And then I got outside and I played for about 30 minutes, and it's like a really, really visually, at least, it's a really, really impressive remaster, although it's a visual remake, I would say. So it's got all the kind of not all, but it's still janky in the way that Oblivion was, and it has all the foibles that game had. That's not a bad thing. I think that was a big part of the game's character back in the day. Some of the quality of life stuff that they've introduced is really cool. The performance outside is still, it's like good, but it's noticeably UE5. I would say, and everybody knows my susceptibility to stutters, but this one is pretty stuttery, I would say. And I think DF might have just done a video today about that, actually, saying that it's a really impressive remastering remake, but the performance is not very good. I don't know what it's like on consoles, but I've seen some videos that suggest it might not be that great there either. Apart from that, I haven't got very far into it. It doesn't have HDR, so that's immediately a minus 5-point deduction for this. Although
on a 5-point scale as well, it's harsh.
Yeah, so it goes from a 10 to a 5. One thing that is really interesting I found, and then I didn't think of as like until I played it again, but it like the topography of that world is very, very simplistic, like extremely simplistic. And it's kind of obviously back in the day, because it was so advanced in terms of it being an open world, it was all really quite amazing and interesting, and there's points of interest here and there, and then you go into the capital and that's all really cool. But now open world games have come on so far in terms of like how these worlds are constructed and how dense they are and how well laid out they are, and how kind of navigationally interesting they are all the time, whereas this one's really simple by comparison. And again, like that's not a critique of the game, because it's just a product of its time. But I completely I just forgotten about this, and like it hadn't occurred to me until now. I've however many years later, I've played so many more open world games, and they're all so they've all become very kind of onwardly advanced. So it was just really interesting that it's structurally the world is so basic, and it's just so like not complicated and not too dense really or anything like that. So it's but it's cool. Like it's a cool product, I think, and it's done extremely well, predictably. And I'm looking forward to playing more of it, basically.
Absolutely. And you're right, because obviously it was originally launched obviously on the PC, where there was resources in abundance, but also on the Xbox 360 and in some messy capacity on the PS3 as well. So you're talking about like a DVD and 512 meg of RAM, so a limited amount of like variety in the textures and things like that back in the day. Now that same world is 120 gig. Gamzly, you've been on it.
You see, I was so nice. I've been so nice. I was raising my hand, waiting my turn.
It's because you're scared of JT, I know.
I think so.
Oh, nice set.
Yeah, can I go, Asa? Please let me go.
Are you asking to go to the toilet or to talk about Oblivion?
Both. No. I have a lot to say. I completely agree with Luke. First off, I've played 9 hours so far. I will say I don't remember it playing so stuttery. Like I don't have a memory of that. So when I walked out in the open world, it looks so good and it's so not blurry anymore that you really do see the pop in. Like the pop in is really egregious. Like everything pops in. It's pretty bad. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Luke, but you're walking and everything just I don't know. It's so bad. The draw distance is not very good either. But what I will say, it's pretty. And to your point of simple, I put that as a positive. Like all the games nowadays are really complicated or crowded. I would say crowded more than complicated. Like they've evolved in how they look and how much you could put on screen, and like Asa said, like there's just more room to put stuff, right? Because CDs and digital and all that stuff have evolved a little bit. We have more storage and all that stuff. But it's so much more advanced in its its gameplay structure, like what you do. So there's not a lot of people walking around in this world. There's not a lot of NPCs in towns. There's not a lot of creatures roaming around. But every PC that you do find in this beautiful, simple world do have a structure to them, right? And do have their little scripted lives that they go about. And that is where the detail comes into this world. And there really isn't many games that do it as well even today. So that's the pushback on that. And I think it stands up in that respect. I don't know if you agree, but I really like, for instance, I did the quest. There's a quest that you have to basically follow a shopkeep. They don't tell you much about it. They're just like, go to this shopkeep, do this thing. You go there, you talk to him. He doesn't give you anything. Then you have to literally follow this person and actually use the in-game timer to wait and or speed up time to where he then leads you somewhere else. And it's just this little scavenger hunt. But it's scripted so well. It's just delightful. It's like even games today don't really do that part that well. Like we just played Avowed. I just played Avowed. And honestly, like Avowed doesn't even do it, right? Witcher in some respects doesn't even do the scripted kind of pathing that Oblivion has done. So it is simple. There's not a ton in it, but what is there is very deep, and I love it. I spent 9 hours in the town. Like I haven't even got to. I got to the first gate because you're closing the gates. I got to the first gate, and that's it. And the rest of the time I've just been in the open world and in the city. That's it. And I've spent 9 hours there, and I'm loving every moment of it. Stutter issues are valid. Like I mean, there's a ton of stutter issues as well as pop-in. I worry about Unreal because it's beautiful, but there's obvious performance freaking stumbles here. It took 4 years to make, so that's not very long, but I would think that, you know, it would be a little bit better in some ways. There's a lot to say. Quality of life stuff is impressive. Like they did a lot of stuff with the movement of this game that I find is interesting in some ways, bad in other ways. Like for instance, the charge attacks. Like every weapon has a newer, unique animation to them that actually might help you move away from a thing. So not necessarily like a dodge roll, but let's say a mace, if you press backwards and heavy swing, you'll do this like jump back long swing and it'll help you avoid an attack that's coming to you. The stamina, you could run now, like you could sprint and it uses your stamina. The sprint I find really necessary. It's like something so small but effective for this type of game because with you were just running around and I think you got I don't remember. You get a horse, obviously. I have one. I just got it. Spoiler alert, Asa. I'm sorry, but there wasn't really much ways to enhance your traversal, right? Things like Avowed definitely show you that traversal and level design has upgraded quite significantly in the newer age of RPGs, but combat still kind of holds up here with a few tweaks like the stamina and the running.
Mod in a grappling hook, you'll be fine. Modern day grappling hook.
No, I don't want grappling hooks, honestly. And yeah, the level system has all its caveats and like intricacies there too. Everything gives you experience. You know, you could hide behind a goblin for like 50 hours to get your stealth up. You can, it's still there. You can smash something for an hour and get your strength up, and it puts experience to your overall character level, which then you put into skill-based systems, which is your strength, agility, endurance. It all helps you in all the classical ways. I mean, it just all still feels so great. Simple, effective, and that's okay. And I like it. I love it. I fell in love with it again. Again, it's 9 hours, so I don't know. I am feeling that after like coming off of Avowed, and I'm gonna ask Luke this, like coming from Avowed, seeing that parkour system kind of, you know, the grabbing walls and the sprinting and how good the spells feel, how good the dodge sometimes feels, how good the using your abilities to find different pathways, how all this how the Avowed level design just like tugs you on very expertly. I feel like they need to team up. You know, I feel like Avowed, like that team, Obsidian, just needs to be the ones doing the traversal and level design and like animations and skill systems, and like Bethesda just needs to stick with the like lore and the ability systems and the intricate like persuasion systems and all that stuff, all the RPG mechanics. I think it would be a dream team. Do you agree? After playing Avowed, it seems a little bit. The combat it definitely shows its age.
Yeah, it's very basic and unsatisfying now compared to certainly compared to Avowed, where the combat is actually surprisingly very good in first person. Yeah, it's a product of its time in that respect, whereas Avowed isn't. Well, it also is, but its time is, 20.
To be fair,
2025.
like when Oblivion was fresh out the door on the 360, the combat was not good. It's never been lauded for having good sword play or anything like that. So it's fair enough that it's still in that boat. Obviously,
systems,
Mike Ybarra. Well, that's the thing that I love about these games, is that because they are strictly single player and they really don't cater for, they don't care if your character is balanced or not. At the end of the day, you can just develop in every direction at once if you want to. You can min-max if you want to, but you don't need to. You can just go and do whatever you want at all times and let the systems do their thing. And some of them are like hilarious, like hiding behind a goblin for 50 hours to get your stealth up is stupid, but it harms no one. And just the way that you can develop your character is really endearing to me. I love that kind of thing. I'm saying this to someone who hasn't played it yet, but JT's cat is getting angry as well. There's just a lot of rage in that room, and I want to know, JT, I don't know if you've played this or what your history with Elder Scrolls is in general. Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, so I want to just piggyback actually off a couple of things you guys had said about the open world, the density of it, which is when I went back to Ocarina of Time, playing that again, and thinking at the time when it first came out, before what I'm completely shite. But just going back to that, and just it at the time when I first played it, I remember being sort of just blown away by the scale of Ocarina and what that looked like. And then obviously playing it now compared to modern open worlds, you see that Hyrule Field is just like, a big field. There's not really anything in it other than a sort of a bit of landscaping, and yet somehow it still has its charm and it's sort of still endears. And I think them leaving in the wonkiness, leaving in a bit of that 360 PS3 era jank, is what's actually going to make this Oblivion remaster endure. Not only will there be people discovering it anew, but also those that are looking for that classic experience. It's preserved, and I think that's something really important in that conversation around. It's very prevalent right now. Game preservation, access to titles, ownership, and all those things. To preserve an experience but give it a sort of quote-unquote current-gen coat of paint, I think is actually really important, especially with something with that kind of legacy and that kind of fervent fan base that's clearly been hungry for this to come out it's been rumoured forever. So I don't particularly have a history with any of the Elder Scrolls games. I remember playing Morrowind back on the original Xbox and loving it. And then just for whatever reason, I don't know whether it was just because of otherness or time or combination of both, I never ended up playing Oblivion or Skyrim. And not through any sort of disinterest necessarily in what the game was, just I think I had other priorities, never played it. Seeing the response to this and actually seeing how well it seems to be the sentiment is, despite the technical issues aside, which I think are a valid point, the sentiment seems to be that the Shadow Drop has really clicked. And that the Steam player numbers have been insane. So that forget Game Pass for a minute, the sales have been great. I'm enticed to give it a shot. I might make this a little little summer project coming up when there's a bit of a drought.
You should.
So I don't have a history, and I've got Avowed waiting in the wings as well. I've got these two big RPGs that have passed me by that I'm
Oblivion first, man.
Well, this is what my thinking. My thinking is to feel that progression. I know that they're not the same team, but they definitely have sort of equivalent DNA to each other. So I think it'd be quite nice to sort of do that arc, play Oblivion Remastered, and then jump into Avowed and then take it from there.
On a simple note there, like I said, I think if you play Avowed first, you're kicking the teeth into Oblivion, like some of the feel of Oblivion, because the combat and the traversal, like I'm telling you, the level in combat in Avowed is just expert. And if you if you play that first, it'll take some charm away from this. I truly believe it. So stick to Oblivion, because you brought up Zelda or Ocarina of Time, and to my earlier point, and that I didn't really convey. Everything in that world is placed specifically for a thing.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yeah.
you see an NPC or you see something, it's kind of there for a point. You can do something with it, and that's
there's an
what
interaction. There's a quest. There's a narrative.
Yeah.
There's something that serves a purpose.
Oblivion, everything in the world that you see, the people, they have homes and all that stuff. Like they have their life, scripted life. So, it's very, it's so reminiscent of that time
for
and
sure.
that formula specifically.
That could be potentially why. Slight segue, but it is on point. It's why I kind of struggled with Breath of the Wild and never actually played Tears of the Kingdom, because I felt like almost at times that was scale for the sake of scale, for the sake of just having a big wide open environment. Whereas this feels, from what I've seen, hearing you talk about it and the comparisons we've drawn, it feels curated. It feels like everything in there, because of prior limitations of hardware and what they were capable of doing with the game engine of the day, they had to sort of, it bred a necessity of invention. It required them to then make sure everything had a distinct purpose.
A point.
And that's really cool design. Like, I always feel like there's been so many countless examples of games that have been achieved greatness because of constraints, because technology or rules or budget or time have restricted their ability to blow something up into some, huge bloated experience. Criterion's Black is the chief example I always think of, their shooter, which was such a simple linear FPS, but it did its one thing exceptionally well, and that sounds to me kind of what Oblivion, both back then and now, is doing.
Yeah. Can I share? Can
you share?
Ahead.
No, I was going to ask you a question, Gamzly, but you go ahead. You share what you want to share.
No. Ask me first.
It was only, so in terms of progression, you've already mentioned that Avowed's combat makes Oblivion feel a little bit off if you do him in that order. Elder Scrolls is obviously a very storied IP with a big legacy, and you got a lot of people that look back at Morrowind and they'll say that's their favorite, and you have a lot of people that would have looked back at Oblivion and said that's their favorite, and people always take the most recent iteration and look at what's been lost and say, oh, they did this better before. But going the other way around, getting an older one brought forwards, getting Oblivion brought forwards, when you're playing it, is there anything from Skyrim or open world games in genre that you feel like in general, that you feel like you particularly miss now?
I'm gonna be real with you. I think Oblivion was the balance of all of it. Like there comes a point where writing, I don't know if the only difference in these become the writing style, the scale, what do they do with the writing? What story appeals to you? One story, for instance, Last of Us 1 story will impact you more than Last of Us 2, or vice versa, whatever. The writing style could improve maybe, but the stories are what matters. Oblivion has a very good balance of story. It has a very good balance of scripted events. It has a very good balance of dungeon design. I think Oblivion is like the most balanced. It's them at their peak, basically. And honestly, Morrowind, I would say, has the best creativity. Like Morrowind was just super creative in because it had to be, because the scale couldn't be so big, right? It had to be scaled down. So it not only was it super dense, and the story was good. Like they're trying to prove a point, but they also, like, I don't know, they were just super impressive with their skill design. And Oblivion, I feel like it lost a few things, but also gained a few things. And Skyrim lost a few things, but gained a few things. And Oblivion is that like perfect balance of both those games, in my honest opinion. I grew up with it though, so I might have a little bias there. Yeah, I wouldn't. The stuff that, like, some of the skill stuff they took from Skyrim is a good feel, and I think they balanced that out well. So they took a good idea from Skyrim and implemented it here. So yeah, I don't know. I think I miss Skyrim. I miss No, I don't know if I do. I don't know if I do miss anything from Skyrim for Oblivion.
Fair enough. So, related question, and I'm going to go to Luke first because I miss his voice. But related question. So you've got the Oblivion remaster. Obviously, you've played Oblivion before, presumably completed it from the sounds of things. So when you play Oblivion remaster, are you just sightseeing and going, that's what it looks like now, I like the work that they've done? Or do you think that it's going to pull you in and you're going to play through to the end?
I don't think I'll play through to the end. I would be surprised if I did. It's very much like it's like visiting, a place that you visited when you were 12, like, Universal Studios, and then coming back and being like, look at what they've done with it. I remember that. That's still here. Oh, they've changed that. So it's a bit like that. I think it's, I don't know. People play these types of products very differently because there are other games that I would, remasters, remakes that I would play through start to finish. But they would tend to be, I think, more linear games because one, I would find those easier to go through anyway. But two, because I think I don't have the time to go through a big open world game I went through like 20 odd years ago. Do you know what I mean? So, and I don't have the inclination to do that because like, it's just not that interesting to me to do that. But I will play it for a number of hours, I think, to at least go and, check out certain things and maybe, do some of the wacky exploits and stuff that I did back in the day, like all that kind of fun stuff. And who knows? I mean, like I could get 5 or 6 hours into it and be pulled straight back into it, and then be like, actually, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna become a vampire again and just have at it and do the same things that I did 20 years ago. So I don't know yet, but I doubt I'll finish it.
It's kind of interesting because generally the topic of remasters and remakes can be fairly divisive. You get a lot of conversations back and forth on what should be and what shouldn't be remastered and what the opportunity cost is, what various studios could work on and all the rest of it. And I'm not asking for condensing it down into a simple answer of whether it's a good idea or not, but it's just curious to see. This is, by most accounts, a very good example of a remaster. So I'm just wondering where it sits. But Gamzly, you've put 9 hours into it so far. You're obviously enjoying the nostalgia and the sightseeing element of it. Do you think you're going to play it through to the end, invest in it heavily?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just enjoying all the things. Like, I'm coming at it now at a like critic level, whereas before I played it for fun and stuff like that. So I'm really noticing stuff that I didn't notice. And to kind of go back to I just remembered little things like trigger events not working properly sometimes. I guess that's what I kind of miss about modern games, is that they're much more, I don't know, they seem more polished in scripting, like the events happen when they're supposed to happen. In this game, it's just like you always have to trace back your step, make sure you talk to the guy properly. It's not just about, for example, I had a bug last night that we're going through a keep and we're trying to find somebody, and you have to get somebody to follow you or else things don't kind of trigger the way they're supposed to trigger. And if you go off script, or if you go in without triggering that guy to follow you, some things will be harder to get to, or not get to at all, and it bugs out. So there are, I do miss those things, but I also like, I'm having a blast with it too. It's like this really strange thing. I'm enjoying these imperfections in a way that I didn't expect. But I'm actually quite having a lot of fun critically with it.
It's funny because
I'm taking notes. I'm experiencing it in a much different way, and I think that's going to push me through to the end again.
It's funny because I've been playing old games. Obviously, I've been playing Chrono Trigger a lot and Final Fantasy, the original one, and things like that. And back in those days, it was perfectly reasonable etiquette for a developer and for a game to say, right, not going to tell you what to do. You're going to need to interact with every interactable thing in this universe and just hope that you pick up on a prompt along the way. And when you look at that in terms of a modern game, if a game came out and did that now with like
people would
the way that you play games, well, the way that you approach games with subscription services and all the rest of it is so easy to throw something away and move on to another one rather than like you present me a world, don't give me any pointers, expect me to interact with everybody in there. I'm probably going to move on to a different game at that point in time. But I go back to an old one where that was the etiquette. It was just how games worked and it was fine design. And I'm really enjoying it. So it's fine. And Oblivion probably where it is old in its design. I don't know if the young people, if the kids playing it will appreciate it in the same way as we do, but I don't care about them because, you know,
fuck them.
I shouldn't say that. I've got two. I care about the two that I've got, but the other ones, fuck them, right? No, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares? Who cares? As long as we like it. JT, talk to me. I miss your voice as well. So Oblivion, you're obviously going to play it back. You haven't done it before. Let's use this actually to talk about something else. What have you been playing?
Well, just boxed off South of Midnight earlier this week, and even though, and it was funny actually, I think it might have been you, Gamzly, that said this either on a podcast or perhaps in the Discord about how some of the stories feel a little abrupt, that they sort of end.
Yes.
And you sort of, there's moments where you're like, oh, I was actually so invested in that. I'd quite like a little coda, a little button on that scene, just to kind of have maybe another 30-second back and forth with the character, what the payoff was. But that speaks volume, doesn't it? That they made you care enough that you wanted more from those moments, and it felt like that actually it was more of just a missed opportunity a little bit in that sense. Still had an absolute, blast with it. What a charming, creative world that they built there, and I sincerely hope, even though Compulsion have a history of sort of next new IP, they went from Contrast to We Happy Few to this. I'd love a sequel. I'd love DLC. I think they are, and with Game Pass now, I think it's just ripe for that. Kind of maybe do what they did with the Hivebusters DLC for Gears 5. If you're an Ultimate subscriber, you get it. If you're just on standard Game Pass, you've got to pay. I'd love to see more from that world, and I absolutely adored it. Stick around after the credits for those of you that haven't played it. There is a little sort of 20-30 seconds something at the end there, which actually was the thing I'm glad they included, that actually sort of saved the ending a little bit for me, because it was very abrupt when it wrapped, and that little coda, that little epilogue just sewed it up nicely for me. Magical experience, just had an absolute blast with it, and I just, that's what I want from Xbox first party. I know it wasn't quite the scale or necessarily the mechanical polish of a God of War or a Horizon, but I don't think South of Midnight would have been out of place as a Sony first party title. I think that it evoked similar kind of
Sony
focus
Japan
on storytelling.
It smashes, Sony Japan definitely.
Something like that, where it was sort of like their equivalent of a AA experience, of like a slightly smaller scale release, but the kind of concrete genie, the kind of that sort of evoking Gravity. That kind of experience. Yes, precisely right. Something that actually I'm hoping now that Sony pivoting away from their live service push, that we see those games make a resurgence. I think it'd be nice to see them do more of that. Them buying Housemarque, quick segue, but them buying Housemarque, having Returnal under their belt, they're the kind of studio that would make those kind of things. So, but no, I had a blast with it, and I mean, we'll probably get onto it because of Clair Obscure as well, but Game Pass, I feel like since Indie, let's go from December, a bit of a hot streak right now. I think they're cooking. There's been just hit after hit, whether it's third party like Sniper Elite Resistance, great. Adamfall, great. Having then, Avowed in there. We've got Doom coming up. South of Midnight.
Who is Adam, what did he fall off of?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good run for them right now, and I'm definitely enjoying the hell out of that. Just from a momentum perspective, and South of Midnight was a winner for me for sure.
So. The only thing that I have there, I've not played that. I don't want post-credit scenes. We're so used to them from Marvel movies and all the rest of it. Game credits are like, can I turn this off now? Is there a skip button? That made me sit there
and
for
it was
3 hours.
7 hours. This one was so long.
I thought this team was tiny, but they worked with everyone.
Yeah, it was savagely
It
long.
was enormous. I'm pretty sure Last of Us Part 2 had shorter credits, which was insane. There was so in this case you could skip credits and go straight to the cutscene, which was really nice. It was only like a 20-second coda, and very needed. I think it really helped sew up the narrative really nicely, and left it open for more without any spoilers. It kind of left the door open a little bit, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, the only exception where I've sat and engaged with the credits was 12 minutes because I just shouted swear words all the names that came up.
Also, shout out to, I think it's Smash Brothers Melee, where you play like a sort of Lilac Wars style shooter. You shoot the names of the credits.
Oh, that would be so good. Like, I love that. Thank you for bringing that up, man.
Yeah.
It's
that was
so
great.
good.
So shout out to that. Because it would give you like a high score as well. It would track your score every time you finished it. That was great. It's great.
Fair enough. Luke, did you ever finish that one?
Which one's that? South of Midnight?
South of Midnight,
Yeah. I finished it a week or two ago. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a good, tight, linear experience, which is just what I was in the mood for, really. I do have
achievable.
Yeah, I have criticisms of it. I think some things it does exceptionally well and some things it doesn't do well at all, but kind of evens out to like a really enjoyable game for me. But it'll be interesting to see what Compulsion do next, because as JT said, they are kind of like an IP factory, they just do new things every time. So I'm sure it will be something very, very different from this.
It's just it's putting like also I think you're absolutely spot on. I think it's also putting into play this notion of their multi-platform strategy that we get. This is like maybe a 6-month exclusivity, Xbox PC, PS5 port maybe announced end of the year, and then it's recapturing a new audience. Indies on 100,000 sales within a couple of days. On PlayStation, doing really well on Steam. So I think there's a nice arc to that where it's the kind of game that should be being fed into Game Pass, that Game Pass cultivates those kind of tight 15-hour achievable experiences with things. And actually, we can get into that. I'm curious to see what those missteps were for you, because I feel like the art design, writing, character work was outstanding. It was actually, and I didn't mind the combat. I actually quite enjoyed the combat. I know that wasn't not a popular opinion, but I really enjoyed the combat in the game. It was the traversal for me that I found a little stiff. It was tough to navigate things, especially the vaulting. But also, I'd find like my initial jump was never enough to not have to clamber over everything, and I found that sort of killed the pacing of the movement quite a bit. Quite annoying to navigate some parts of that.
I attacked it for that, right? Like that was my problem, is that it seemed like they didn't understand the pacing of like platforming, or they didn't really understand the placement, like how to make it super fluid while you're moving through the platforming. Like Mario games, whatever you want to say. Mario games, like they're very like precise. There's a flow to it. Like if you want to just rush that game, it feels good almost every time. This is like some platforms are totally not where they're supposed to be, and right. the spells don't quite, they're not engaging while you're platforming. So like they give you this thing to make and create things, but they don't make you use it while you're in the air. And it's just like, what the hell? So you want me to run, hopefully my cursor locks onto the thing you want me to press LB for to create the path, so I could jump on it. But it's just like, it would have felt so good if they just let you do that in the air, but they don't. So it's like, it breaks up the flow completely. But yeah, we've talked about that. But I'm glad you really enjoyed it. It really was amazing. What did you think of the... did you said that you understood some of what I said about like the abruptness, the first part of the game, right? The very first big story.
Benji.
Where, like, was that one of those parts for you? Because I was like, oh my god, I wish like we would have talked
back and chatted to his brother.
Yes,
that was the missing part of me, and that's not a huge spoiler.
Like,
that doesn't break it for anyone. But I kind of went like, oh, we're leaving? we're off?
We're ready?
We're on Catfish? We're out of here? I agree.
They even tell you.
Think
They even tell you to like go back to what's his name, and you're like, okay, and then you're just like, okay, bye,
and you just don't. Yeah, I think that mainly because actually I know that they put the content warning at the start of the game. I didn't expect some of those story beats to hit quite as hard as they did. Like there was some real, and the music too really plays into that. Shout out to the soundtrack of this game, which is just stunning. But that climb in that mission, the last bit leading up to when you first get rid of the stigma, it's really emotional and really well done. It just felt like they kind of pulled the rug out under themselves a little bit. It was kind of just a it's a missed opportunity. It wasn't a criticism or a fault in essence. It wasn't like they made a mistake with design. It was just a missed opportunity, I think, for them to expand on something that was already good. It was just an opportunity to push further, and they just didn't. Whether that's just a scope issue, a time issue, wasn't polished enough, ready to ship. I'm sure there'd be reasons for it being trimmed, but it just that just felt like a wasted chance to double down on something that was already great.
And Asa, with your permission, because you are the master of all things.
There's no way you want my permission. This is the biggest lie. Nobody believes you.
Speaking of like music and blending moments super well, Expedition is the next game we're probably going to talk about, right? That game with like that music, like that execution is what I wanted from South of Midnight. South of Midnight has these musical drops that you feel like, oh my god, like I wish this music continues like maybe the whole way through, or the background music's just a little bit tuned just a little bit up so I could hear it more, like the balancing and the mixing of the music with the voices and all that stuff, and the just make it a little bit louder. Clair Obscure has me so hard because they do this piano thing, like they have a piano in the background almost always, and they have perfect transitions between music and cutscenes. There's a better flow. I mean, can we talk about Clair Obscure next, Asa?
We can absolutely talk about Clair Obscure, as long as you don't give me even the slightest inkling of a spoiler. There better not be pianos in this game, because I'm really looking forward to playing this.
There's
flipping desks.
There's definitely there's the piano music. I mean, it's piano music, and as well as other instruments that they pop off in battle. I mean,
don't tell me the instruments.
Music.
It'll ruin it for me.
Yeah, there's piano.
Banjo.
They got the banjo. No, I don't even know if they have banjo. But
that amazing kazoo that drops in the middle of a mission.
There's just something really emotional about the music and the sound design in that game too, and I didn't expect for it. This is going to be a game of the year. I thought South of Midnight, if they won anything in the game of the year conversation, it would be music. But unfortunately, Clair Obscure just smashed it like completely. The battle music alone in some of these areas in Clair Obscure are absolutely fantastic, and might be just my taste in sound, because maybe I don't know, maybe I don't blend with the stuff they were doing in South of Midnight as much as I do here, but it's absolutely crazy. Like the battle music in Metaphor is also crazy. This takes it to like another level, in my opinion, and I think that's the best. I think that's like the biggest compliment I give the game, as well as an insanely good combat system.
We were talking about like performance earlier with Oblivion and Unreal. There's a history there with Unreal Engine, particularly Unreal Engine 5 being really technically capable in terms of things like physics, destruction, but also like resolution, like games looking, pretty.
Yeah.
What is Clair Obscure running on?
I think it's 5, right, Luke?
Mm-hmm.
It's Unreal 5.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So there are problems. Even my 720p eyes don't really like with some of the Unreal 5 engine stuff, and I saw it in Oblivion, and I kind of see it in this, not in the same ways, but I think I'm gonna add, like Luke, like there's some problems when you look outside of your vision, right? Like it's a little weird, the graphics sometimes, or something's happening that my eyes just don't like. But I'm pretty sure that's a lot to do with the implementation of motion blur and all that stuff. Maybe sometimes not working extremely well, or upscaling or something. I don't know. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I think it's just got some really weird post-processing effects, like you can't turn off, because the image quality in general, no matter what, like whatever setting you put it on PC as an example, even at 4K, the image quality is kind of I can only describe it as crunchy. It looks crunchy. It's like very textured. It doesn't look right. And I think it's like an artistic direction of the post-processing that's applied to the game. I think there are mods that are coming out on PC now where you can remove this. You can make it look much better. But it's, I think, actually, come to think of it, the crunchy texture, crunching up Kellogg's, it's over sharpened. That's what it is. It's like way over sharpened. Black Myth had a similar problem, where the default UE5 setting is way too sharp, and it creates like this interference to the image quality. So like it's a really good looking game, like from an artistic perspective, but also technically it's doing some really impressive things. But the image quality is a bit weird.
When you talk about the image quality, is this the same thing that so the Matrix tech demo that Unreal Engine had, and Jedi Survivor and various other games have really suffered from as you move the camera, it just kind of puts a glitch halo around various objects. Is this what it's doing?
A little bit, yeah. It's doing some of that, but it's actually just, it's like even on a still image or when you're not moving the camera, there's kind of like a breakup of detail, which is caused by over sharpening, basically. So it's hard to describe until you actually boot it up. Because I heard about this, like I hadn't booted it up, and I looked at people's impressions, and like all on PC and on consoles as well. Actually, and people were saying, "Oh yeah, I don't know what's happening with the image quality here, because it just looks off."
So, question then, because typically sharpening is used with upscaling techniques rather than like a native resolution you wouldn't normally sharpen. Does the game support things like DLSS or?
It supports it supports DLSS, except that DLAA is broken in the game at the moment. So if you want to do, in fact, I don't think you can. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure I don't think you can run the game at just pure native resolution. So you have
that's
to use
what I mean, because that will be where sharpening comes in. But
I think you can. I don't know, because on
you can only use TSR, which is not native resolution. So you don't have to use DLSS or FSR, but then it defaults
it is
back
like
to
the
TSR.
Matrix take
I get it.
So which is temporal super resolution. So it is still upscaling and using that, and it's horrible. But so DLSS like quality looks pretty good. Like that's the best thing. You don't want to use DLAA because it's broken at the minute, and it just makes it look even worse. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird game technically. It doesn't run badly or anything like that, or at least I've only played it for like 20 minutes, so it's a very limited sample, but it doesn't seem to run particularly badly or anything like that. But it's got some weird image quality stuff.
Gamzly, how long have you put into it? No, HDR is a thing that Unreal Engine games frequently launch with. Gamzly, how long have you put into it?
Right now, 3 hours, because I was way too busy with Oblivion.
So
I've gotten past it.
Yeah, don't tell me what you got past. I don't want to know that. I want to know. So the game, one of its signature features, obviously, it's a turn-based game like Japanese RPGs used to be, and there's a lot of attention on it because it's very cinematic, stylized presentation around turn-based combat, and a lot of hopes and dreams that it means we're going to see a bit of a resurgence in that space. But one thing that it does is it does what I consider to be a Legend of Dragoon feature, in that there's been a decision made somewhere along the line where people have said that turn-based combat is too boring for some people, so we need to make it more engaging with certain button presses along the way. So you've got like parries and dodges and various things that you need to press. Do you think from the 3 hours that you've played that is going to hold up long term? Are you glad that stuff is in there, or is that going to become going to take away the relaxing feel of a turn-based game? I don't know.
Well, okay. So Sea of Stars also does something like this. Like if anybody played Sea of Stars, it tries to evolve the combat kind of like this does and Dragoon did, where you know, adding button presses can give you bonus damage, as well as, you know, help you strategically link your skills to other party members and have this big, you know, splash of damage added. This does it the best. Why? Because you don't need it. Like it's not something. It has traditional sensibilities. Like you do not need it to get through this game. You can get hit by every technique possible. Okay, you could play it exactly like a JRPG used to play. You could play like your Final Fantasy if you want to, 1 to 5 or whatever. You can play it like that. But what does hold up and why it's going to hold up for a long time and why I think people will want to do this is because it will drag so much people that get turned off by this for simple reasons of grind. That's what I will say. So in these RPGs of old, there's a certain amount of grind that you have to go through to make the game easier for you, and push forward. Okay, sometimes you don't need it, but you're going to get your head bashed in, and some things are straight up impossible sometimes. This removes the grind almost completely for people that choose to get skillful with the timings of this game. So the patterns, they make it extremely fun to learn some of these patterns from these monsters, from bosses to regular creatures. Like it plays almost like an action game at times where you have to read their movements and they'll switch it up on you. So one attack looks completely different than another attack, and they have a slowdown time, like a really small slowdown window when they're actually about to strike, so that you could get a perfect block or a dodge or whatever. And you could go on a no-hit run in this game. And I've done 5 combats now where I've mastered a pattern and I know these enemies inside out, so that my skill is actually rewarding me heavily, even though I'm actually not even at the point where I could kill these things very easy. But because I'm so good at the pattern, it puts me through, and it immediately makes me feel happy that I don't have to go to a flag, reset the monsters, grind a level. And I think that's extremely friendly to new people that don't actually like this genre because they think it's going to take too long or it's just too boring. Well, the boring comes when you have to fight the same creature 80 times to level. And I think this eliminates that. You could literally just do a naked run. It's going to take a shit ton of time, but you could just kill anything as long as you get the perfect blocks and the parries, because they reward you for every, let's say, 3 dodges or 3 parries, you do a very big attack. The reward and the AP that you get from doing this as well is worth it. Like, it's just a really well balanced system, and the grind thing is important to these games. And if you give people options like this, that's not really making it feel like a cheat. It's just skill. And if you have it, you have it, and you could play through it like a sort of an action game if you really wanted to, but it still has that DNA. It still has that structure. It still has that, you know, I have to put an ailment on this guy, or else if he hits me, he's going to one-shot me, or, you know, there's still that element to it. And I think this is a very masterful game. You can tell people that love tactical RPGs really do care about this game. And I mean that not in a PR, like, speaking because I love this freaking game and I'm biased. No, I think this is a very good system. Bar none.
Good. Good. My throat really hurts. I'm hesitant to talk because it hurts to talk, and I'm trying to figure out why that happened. I think I was sitting in this very chair, and my wife came back behind me and tried to choke me. And I think she's done some damage to my throat. Not sure why she did that, but it hurts to swallow and talk.
Window into your home life.
Yeah, I'm not abused. It's fine. JT,
peek behind the green screen, as it were.
Have you played this? Do you intend to play this? Do you like turn-based games in general?
Haven't played it. Generally, turn-based is a big no-no for me. And prior sort of initial trailers for me hadn't sort of captured my interest particularly. It kind of looked quite overwhelming in parts, kind of both visually, and there's a lot of busyness to the UI that tends to also be quite off-putting for me. Not generally a big fan of like damage numbers coming off of stuff. Like I turned that off in the Division because I couldn't deal with it. And it just looked a bit fussy visually for me. That was kind of a bit jarring at first. The more I'm hearing you guys talk about it, I've actually been sitting here kind of just soaking this all up, and I'm color me intrigued. I am just fascinated to hear. And obviously I've read enough about it to know that this is a remarkably ambitious release for a team that is, relatively speaking, so small to be attempting something of this scale. Yeah, I mean that's remarkable, and I'm fascinated by that. I think especially in the indie space now, what small teams are able to do and achieve relative to their team size is getting sort of more and more impressive with every single passing year. So I think it would be silly of me to dismiss this just on the basis of its genre. If there was ever going to be a game that kind of was able to get its hooks in me, that didn't sort of require me to know. So it's not based on anything, is it? Is this an original IP?
The original IP.
It is,
yes.
right? So that's infinitely more enticing to me, I think, coming in fresh, because something like a Final Fantasy at this point now, I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know what game to play first. I wouldn't know what lore to connect with or what optional comic book I should be reading. Yeah, so that's my point. Is I think if I especially because time is such a premium, especially just now, the older I get, games for me have to be mechanically interesting, and they have to have a story that I care about. If I'm playing single player, those are it's feel and story. I'm not bothered about graphics. I'm not bothered about genre. I don't care what it looks like. I don't mind what sort of box it's ticking in terms of its a action adventure roguelike Metroidvania. Like I don't care about any of that stuff. It just has to feel good on the sticks, and it has to have a story that I care about. Like I have to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And
that's
for all intents and purposes, it sounds like this is ticking those boxes.
You're gonna care about it. Trust
me. The story, having not played it, from what they showed in the reveal and stuff, is one of the most intriguing setups for a game that I've seen for a long time. So I really want to play it for that reason. But
if I'm gonna, I don't want to take more time off of it, but I really am impressed by it. The beginning of this game, when we talk about like video game writing and all that stuff, there's a lot that pops out. The Last of Us Part 1 moments in the beginning of Last of Us Part 1 really stand out, emotionally get you attached to a character in certain ways, and a lot of stuff doesn't hit. For every one that hits, there's 80,000 others that don't hit. The writing in this game is minimal yet impactful, and that's a sign of really good, careful writing.
Economy of words kind of thing. That's really nice.
They say a few, like, this is not a JRPG where they talk 18 million hours and then you only care about 1 point. Okay?
Yep.
This is, they talk pretty, it's not a lot of talk, but they make you love these people. And in the beginning, there is a sharp, there's a sharp, there's a very prominent moment that you actually care about, and they expertly place their NPCs in areas that will tell you about this world, but not really, and keep the intrigue there but you have questions, and they give you satisfying answers very quickly for certain people, and they make you care about these people. And then they do things to them, and it's good,
That's
man.
really
It's really good.
That's
really
something
good.
I've found. Perhaps this is definitely kind of blending my day job into my passion here, but something I wish that a lot of the bigger AAA games would utilize is editing in their writing. Is that it's become so the sort of the scope and bloatedness of the scripts, and like I mean, I always level this criticism at Ubisoft games where like they'll introduce like here's 18 characters all with their own name and backstory that somehow you're supposed to connect with and care about. Whereas you look at something like South of Midnight, which was like just you're straight in with Hazel and her mum, and it was just straight away there was the connection point, there was my in, and the
impactful and meaningful right away.
Yeah, in that they didn't try to sort of just here's an enormous ensemble that you're supposed to be interested in. Like I would credit Mass Effect with being really good at that. That they BioWare sort of drip fed those new crew members every one of their stories, and then they do their loyalty missions. They all carried weight because they were focused. They were precise in their writing, and it was edited well. And it sounds like this is where that sort of economy of words, very Naughty Dog style, say what you need to say in order to get your point across.
There's no.
That sounds like that's what's happening.
Yeah, there's no. Last thing I'll say, there's no quit. It's just sensible writing. That's the best compliment I can give it. It's not Marvel writing that we've been getting recently. It's not quippy and all that. It just makes sense. It's just sensible writing, and I appreciate the sensibility of the writing. And
there's such value in that, isn't there?
Yes, and there's really there's two characters that you meet instantly, and you're kind of just visually and cool factor and sensible writing makes these people just instantly like, oh, okay, yeah, I can't wait to play with this character. I hope I play with this character. This character is cool. She's, interesting. What's going on with her, and that's it. And they just drop it, and it's like, okay, next scene. Let's get to the point, and let's get them started. And it's very very nice to see.
Nice. Well, that definitely would be certainly ticking boxes for me in terms of it being something I'd want to check out. I think, especially because that really has become for me like two lead priorities for any single player game. For me to stay on the sticks and want to keep going is I want to enjoy navigating that world. It's actually why I kind of fell off The Witcher 3, because I didn't like the mechanics and the movement of that game. I found that really tricky to act, even though the story was brilliant, and I know I'm missing out on some great narrative there. It's the feel that has to be right for me, but then also just you having an investment in good writing. It's important, for sure.
Luke, anything to add from your 20 minutes of playtime?
No, I mean, it makes a very strong first impression. I think the game, image quality aside, it's all the like the things that you saw in the trailers in terms of like the wow of the art design and the music and the visuals, and a tiny bit of the combat that I've played. It all, that first 20 minutes kind of really draws you in and kind of lives up to I think the grandeur really of the trailers. The voice acting is also terrific. I mean, it's quite strange in a way listening to Charlie Cox, who plays Gustav, who's the lead character. And for those who don't religiously follow actors or know the names, Charlie Cox plays Daredevil. Matt Murdock.
Yeah. I did not realize he was in this.
But obviously Charlie Cox is English, and he's using his English accent as Gustav. So it's really, really weird.
Does it sound like Daredevil's doing a bit?
It's funny. It sounds like Charlie Cox. It sounds like Charlie Cox just normally, but then he'll do like some speech inflection or filler or something like that, and then you're instantly like, oh, okay, he also does that for Matt Murdock. So it's just weird listening to it. Like, he's great. Like, and the voice acting is supreme in this, and obviously it's got a tremendous cast, Charlie Cox aside. But it's just really interesting listening to him. And it's like one of the first, I think it must be one of the first video games he's done, certainly in this kind of capacity. So it's cool that they got him for this. And yeah, like that first 20 minutes is really good. I would say that's all I can. That's the only assessment I can give because I've only played that much. But it's very, very impactful in terms of what it does, kind of right off the slate to get you into the story and into the world and interested in it all.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. So this is really, really very, very high on my list of things that I want to play, but I am still waiting because reasons. I have my reasons. We do have quick shout out for Pete. Pete has super chatted to say that he's going to win the contest with James. I don't think James is even here. So Pete, you could have won by default without super chatting at all, but thank you for doing that. Thank you for the always supporting either with your presence or anything else. Playing the games that we enjoy.
I can always show you a leg, Pete. You know, if you want to see a leg.
He's got someone's leg.
I don't have any.
Just
Do
grab
I
it
have
from the
pants
freezer.
on? You don't know. You don't.
Oh, his leg. That's your own leg. Okay, fine. And Demon Hunter.
High stakes very quickly.
Amin has resubscribed for 7 months over on Twitch as well. So thank you for that. Amin, it's Twitch is kind of dead for me, but it helps to have the stuff everywhere. So thank you for that. Let's move on to, I don't know, Gamzly, you had a few other things that you wanted to talk about. Do one of them.
Oh, okay. Let's see. It's already 4:20. It's already been an hour 20 minutes. I didn't see this time fly. I will just a quick shout out to Steam at the moment. This is just a personal thing on my end. Steam is putting easier filter to find games that are reliable and playable for disabled people. Like they have
awesome.
yeah, they have like this little filter that you can turn on to see which game has accessibility options. So like South of Midnight
brilliant.
and all that stuff. So that's pretty awesome.
Does that have any sort of decent support for that?
South of Midnight, yeah, being able to turn off combat and stuff. Yeah, that's a pretty that's a pretty good
I didn't know that
accessibility
was a
thing. Yeah, you could turn off boss battles and a bunch of that stuff. So that's and platforming, cool. even not platforming entirely, but the what's it called, the chase scenes, you know, after every.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, you chased by I forget his name, the big purple cloud,
the shadow.
Yeah.
Yes. So that I think it's important, and I don't do it often to shout out these things. A lot of things are put out there that I don't shout out, but this I want to shout out a big company and storefront doing to have these games visible to people with a imparity of some sort. So shout out to Steam.
That's pretty cool. I don't know whether like maybe I'm just ignorant to this, but like I don't know if there is a resource for that. If there is like sort of places that do that kind of coverage and will say like, oh, they point people to a curated list, like kind of like Steam are doing now. That feels like a huge gap in coverage and like,
since accessibility is like more than just the physical, like me that has an obvious disability there, but you know, as we go older, you know, we get a little bit more blind or maybe hear impeded, you know, our hearing goes or something.
Reaction speed for me. So like having games that where they like, I know this isn't strictly accessibility, but it's kind of tangentially in the same thing where like, where it says like, do you want your experience to be more focused on story or combat? And I like always like that breakdown in games, just giving you the choice. It's choices, isn't it? It's
that is a form, right? That like the story modes of games are like the easiest way for accessibility options. So he's just like, okay, let's put the damage way down. Let's give the quick time events this much timing. Like those things are those things are alive and well in games, but is being pushed more. So I have to say, good job on that. Even though you know, I'm not a stickler for that. I play through the Demon Souls and the Elden Rings and make it hard for myself all the time, and I appreciate those games too with no accessibility to them.
Totally. And what's lovely is that one takes away from the other. It's just giving people options, and that can only be a good thing in my books. I think it just gives people choice.
So I wanted to quickly shout out Steam for that as well. Besides that, I had a lot of stories to say about Oblivion and Clair Obscure, but I'll hold that off for another time. But Asa, can you play the get RUFFY and the Riverside trailer that you have at the bottom there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just
on the
call out
topic of the accessibility thing. There is a relatively recent, I think it's called Accessibility UK website as well that's been set up that also it's supposed to be a database that supports lots of accessibility options that people can search and filter on different needs and requirements. So it is things that the industry is improving on as well, and hopefully there will be other avenues for people that aren't on Steam as well. But, what was the game? RUFFY something.
Yeah, so there's not much news, right, to talk about, unless shout out to the chat if you want to talk about a topic that might have popped up on the show. You can put it in the question box there and we'll answer it, or just straight up in chat we'll get to it if you have any questions. But this is my little wish list on Steam section that I want to just shout out. So to highlight this game, I'm gonna be
so angry with you.
It's probably a let's play. It's not a let's play. The first game I want to shout out on Steam, on my Steam wish list, is RUFFY and the Riverside. This game looks super amazing. It has this Paper Mario. It's showing on the stream now. It has this Paper Mario kind of feel. The main mechanic is you go through the world and you kind of copy paste textures of things. So RUFFY, which is a weird bear-looking thing, it's a puzzle platformer. RUFFY could take textures of certain things and apply them to other things. So what you're seeing right now is him take wood and make those steel blocks into wood, and then it melted by the lava to get past the wall. This is
watching it on the stream. This looks so
Isn't it
cool.
crazy? Yeah.
There's a Kickstarter that I backed. It's about a year old now, called Escape from Ever After. It used to be called Flint Buckley and something and blah blah, but it's got a very similar aesthetic to this, and it's definitely evoking the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door kind of era of those games. What was that game called again?
The game that we just showed, RUFFY and Riverside.
That's going on the wish list. Thanks, buddy. That's great.
Yeah. This was showed off. Apparently, every single asset in that game is hand drawn by the creator. Shout out to, I believe Xbox Era had an interview with this guy. So shout out to them for that interview, because it really did shed light on the development of it, and it was one of the ways I found out about the game. So they seem like great creators. Again, all handcrafted, all hand drawn stuff, all the animations, everything. So it's really a love letter to what this art form can show. I'm really excited about it. A lot of good stuff in that trailer. Obviously, really super creative. So shout out to that one. Do you think you'll be picking up? What do you think about that, Luke? Did that pique your interest?
Yeah, I've seen that I've been tracking that game for quite a while. It's been shown off a number of things. It looks really cool. It looks really, really cool. So yeah, I am interested.
Not for your 5090 though.
No, but
showcase.
Not everything is.
A second.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Asa, does that tickle your fancy a little bit?
It doesn't. I like very much the kind of paper cutout art style is something that I want to see more of. I think Tales of Iron does it very well. Tales of Iron 2 as well. It's because you get trending art styles, and pixel art has been a big one. And I don't mean this disrespectfully to the people that are good at it, because it's a talent that I don't have whatsoever, but I much prefer the paper cutout style over the pixel art style that became prevalent everywhere. So the more things that look like that, the better for me. I know that's presenting itself as a 3D platformer in a lot of places as well, which changes up how the paper cutouts are used, but I like that about it. I realistically probably won't play that myself, but it's nice to hear that 3 of you are interested, so yeah,
it definitely looks amazing. But
I'm interested live on the show. That's great.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice little game to call out. One that is targeted at Asa. Asa, you're gonna love this one. If you would just look at Rogue GENESIA. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Yeah, that one that you just highlighted. Yeah, look at this. This one's
spy what I'm doing in the little document.
I see you pointing at it. Don't delete. Yeah, this one is a joke. It looks it appeals to me because it's basically Vampire Survivor. Is it Vampire Survivor? Is that the no?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay,
yeah, very much.
So it's an auto kind of battler. It made me laugh because I was watching it. I'm like, oh my god, Asa's gonna love this because he loved Brotato so much.
I like Vampire Survivors,
it's
right?
not
I still like
Brotato.
Potato.
Yeah, but so this is definitely this definitely has DNA that you like. Like, it's not just a little square that you go around defeating bosses in. It actually has a through line, a little mini story that it tries to tell. Many stages and levels. It also has like this little map that plays kind of like a roguelike map where you pick where you want to go, and some maps have different treasures. And then ultimately that web map leads to a boss map, and then you get in there, you fight a boss, and then it has other biomes, and it leads to other biomes and other areas of the story. Very reminiscent of Castlevania in a lot of ways as well, just by the style. But yeah, what do you think about this one, Asa? Do you like this
It
one?
made me sick on my feet.
Get your Brotato. Give you a little Brotato magic. No?
It's kind of interesting because judging just purely off of that trailer, it's done something slightly controversial, slightly like a game that I wanted to make myself actually, where it's not entirely auto battler because there's some manual dashing going on. So they've taken the one button gameplay and gone, you know what, a second button could make this more compelling. And it's a curious direction for that genre to kind of move towards more established games as well. But I mean, it looks so much like a slightly different camera angle Vampire Survivors, and the reason is that the collectibles are modeled to look the same. And that's just a step too far, because now you could have looked more, you could have separated yourself and looked a bit more new if you hadn't had the same little crystal things. But, you know, it's the kind of thing, I quite liked Vampire Survivors, but Vampire Survivors was very skillful in the way that it delivered your updates, and very skillful in the way that the game kind of unfolded and gave you a little bit more to do just as you were getting bored. So it's impossible to tell from a trailer whether this one is going to be Vampire Survivors or whether it's going to be Brotato, or whether it's going to be a lot of people like Brotato, right? But I don't.
Both game of the year. Game of the year.
Game of the year. So I'm probably, am I going to play it? Probably not. Maybe one day.
Probably not.
There's just so many games. It's so many games. So when I say that I'm probably not going to play that one, it's not because it looks bad. It's because I'm really struggling to play everything that I want to. And that doesn't hit with enough impact to make me move things like Clair Obscure aside.
Obviously not. And how about you two? Luke, do you like Vampire Survivor? What do they call it? Arcade? There's a term for those games now that I'm not sure what it is. But are you a fan of like the Vampire survival genre right now?
Yes, but probably not enough to play different ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
fair enough.
I don't really like Vampire Survivors, but I don't know if I'd play another game in that subgenre unless it was like really, really different. You know, really wild. No.
Yeah, fair enough. And JT, Rogue Genesia. I still don't know how to say it.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, that sounds you're on track. No, not particularly for me. That doesn't really connect for me on that one. I think I don't know whether I just find sometimes those kind of games a little frustrating. That's normally because of my own inability to play them. It's not actually
only one
the
button
genre itself.
There's only one button. JT.
No, the that is only expanding the problem for me, is that I'm still not good at them, and there's only one input. So
sad face.
That's for sure. It's why I don't like puzzle games. They make me angry because I feel too stupid.
Told you he's an angry man.
Yeah.
See, look games, the anger's coming out.
For puzzle games, that bit is genuine. For everything else, I'm just this guy. But yeah, it's not particularly for me. I think that I'm still honestly thinking about the game that I've forgotten the name of again, but that Paper Mario-esque experience is just ticking all the boxes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm just chewing on that right now.
Good stuff.
Because since we're on a bit of an indie focus, I had something I wouldn't mind just shouting out really
Go
quickly,
for it.
just to throw it in there. A couple things actually. One is a little game called Spine that I've been keeping an eye on. It's sort of like it looks a bit like a sort of John Wick simulator. It's a sort of a dystopian kind of cyberpunk kind of aesthetic, but it's all about sort of meat. It's got like Sifu-esque kind of animation takedowns. It looks really cool. And it's been sort of steadily ramping up their marketing. They've got a new trailer out. That's the one. Yeah. Looks really cool. It's from a very small team, but it's all about sort of combos using the environment. I mean, it actually reminded me of a really old Bourne Identity game, which put such an emphasis on the sort of crunchy melee and lots of animations. This shot right now evoking the fourth John Wick film with its top-down view. Just looks really cool, and something that I think we haven't seen a huge amount of certainly from an indie space. Looks really polished and ambitious. So I'm got that one on the radar. And the other thing I wanted to shout out is actually a publication that I've just started following, called Indieformer. Essentially, it's a newsletter. It's just an online newsletter that curates a collection of sort of games to watch out for on Steam. Kickstarters, it gives little shout outs to some Kickstarter campaigns that the person that curates it has personally either invested in himself or is just wanting to give just a shout out to. They're called Indieformer, and it's just a really great little newsletter that's got like various. They do some like behind the scenes stuff. They do some interviews with indie devs. It's a nice little community, and I've been. It's opened my eyes as much as Game Pass has made me much less snobbish. Like I'm much more open minded with trying out stuff than I ever was because the barrier to entry is so low. Place like that's been really opening my eyes a little bit to some new stuff. So yeah, they're kind of my shout outs. Yeah, for now.
Nice. That first one there piqued my interest as well. It's
Finally,
really cool.
Yeah. I've seen that. I have seen that game going around. That was the first trailer that I've looked at and gone, "Oh, it's Spider-Man." Because, without the traversal, the combat, it's because she's got Spidey sense above the head and Spidey sense on the bullet trajectories. Spider-Man's combat I actually really like anyway. Like it's quite fluid and satisfying to do. So if they can marry it up with that kind of flow and timing and get the movement looking smooth and cinematic, then they could be onto something very nice with that one. Plus it rained a lot in the very opening of that sequence. So yeah, Spine looks like it could be fun. We'll see. We'll see.
Just confirmed for Switch 2 as well. Just been announced for that.
Oh, I'm going to play it there.
Don't listen. Don't bring up
reflex.
Don't bring up Switch 2 yet. I'm still sad. I haven't gotten it. So sad.
Rematch.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. How about Luke? Luke, Passion, Gaming with a Passion, which is Demon Hunter, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it not? Okay. So he wants to know what you think of Rematch.
I really, I think like most people, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't really expecting much. I think when I saw it, when it was initially revealed, I was like, it's a bit weird that Slow Clap, who made Sifu, are making this game, and I didn't think it would do well at all. And obviously I was completely wrong. Because the minute you play it, it's like, okay. I kind of like, I feel like this feels fun. Like this is very fun. And I played it with some friends and we played the beta quite a lot. And it does take getting used to. I mentioned this in the Discord, I think, which is that you have so much muscle memory from playing, FIFA and Pro Evo about how you're supposed to move and how you're supposed to the input for certain actions and the way in which those games sort of hold your hand in a lot of the things you do, like shooting. Whereas this is very different. Like you're way more in control of many elements of the player than you are in those games I've just mentioned. And so there's I remember the first few matches, we kept attacking and doing really well, and then we would get get forward and, you know, being a cross would come in and you would press the button to shoot, and then the ball would like go like completely the opposite direction.
Yeah,
and
like,
then
a 90-degree.
And then it's specifically because you have to aim to.
Okay,
like you have,
dude, it's nuts, isn't it? Because like passing, you have to you use the left stick to look where you want to, like you move towards where you want to pass it. But if you're shooting, it's the right stick. To aim for that, and that's a real like,
It's very strange. Like within, I'd say maybe 30 to 40 minutes, you're kind of there. Like in terms of like, you may not be great, but you're not doing stuff like that anymore. But even then, there's sometimes something will just, you know, your mind will just let you down, and then you'll be like, oh damn, I need to aim. So yeah, that's it. Once you get past that hurdle, it becomes very, very fun. It's quite rage-inducing as well, though, specifically because a lot of people just refuse to pass the ball in the beta.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that. Honestly, that feels like therapy for me right now, because I'm a little bit obsessed with Rematch. The beta landed so well for me. Had exactly the same experience as you. Such a wonky first hour where like I was passing to the walls, I was shooting with like my protractor aimed to the left corner, like I just was all over the place. And then suddenly I had like a sort of like a moment of clarity, like a great parting of the sea, and I just became a ninja at it. Like I was absolutely killing at it and loving it. And then because I'd ranked up a little bit, the absence of common sense from people like not crossing and passing and playing through balls and stuff just became like maddening so quickly. So I think there's going to be a big skill gap in this thing. Very cool that it's Game Pass. I think that's really for a little while, certainly for the launch window. Really cool that it's Game Pass. Really cool that it's budget price, like 20 quid. It's really smartly priced and it's been pitched well. This beta is I mean, over 100,000 people registered for it, so that's looking really positive. I had a blast with that thing. Cannot wait for that to drop in June.
I just wanted to say, because I didn't get to talk to, I talked to Demon Hunter about it in pretty lengthy conversation last time, but like the ball is not sticky in this game, and that's what I urge people to understand at first. Like, this is not a stick. The ball is not sticking to your feet here. It has its own little physics. Like, it'll move so away from you.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you were past the ball in Pro Evo, the ball became you. Like you just were it. Whereas now it's every little, like, I love the left trigger, an A tap and skill, and then like the double tapping A, like if you want to push it in front of you, to be like off the ball. All those little movements and skills are all done.
The stamina
on
system,
the sticks, and all of the double tap for the little quick speed boost and all of that. I think I really like and the little kick flip where you sort of push it over your head. All of those things, every little micro movement. Why I like it is that if you tackle someone, it's because you've outthought them. But if you beat someone when you're on the ball, then it's because you, again, it's so skill based, and I really like that. It's not just about positioning yourself and chucking the ball in front of you. There is so much more to it, and I think that's where, you know, the sort of comparisons of like Rocket League but with an actual football have come into play here. I think there's some fair parallels being drawn there. It feels very, very skill based, and that's really exciting for me.
Let's wank.
What?
There it is.
Okay, you know what? Fix your camera, Asa. No, I'm kidding. Listen, at least in the green room, for fuck's sakes. Asa, what? You're gonna play community nights, right? Speaking of community nights, what did you play in community night last time?
Oh, last night we did Rocket League and Quake 2 and Rubber Bandits.
Oh, so you're talking down about Rematch, but you're playing Rocket League?
Well, that's kind of, because Rocket League is phenomenal and it's perfect in every way as a multiplayer game. And Rematch, obviously being similarly like arcadey football at its core. Well, I was kind of looking forward to it, and then I watched Amin playing it, and it looked wank.
You're gonna take those words and chop.
You're gonna take those words so bad.
You're gonna take those words and chop those syllables, pal.
I'm definitely going to play it, and it may be something that I end up falling in love with. Because if I used to play a football game, and you're talking a long way back, like I went well off of the FIFAs and Pro Evos a long time ago. But when I did used to play them, I used to specifically go into the menu on FIFA and turn off. It had like a slider in the old ones where you could turn off how much it helped you with your passing and how much you had free control of it. And I found them so much more fun taking that away, so that you actually had to specifically manually aim your passes with an analog stick.
This is Rematch. The whole game is what you just described. And actually, gaming with passion.
Yep.
Shout out to that comment, by the way. He said it's also satisfying to play as a goalkeeper. You're absolutely right. It actually is.
Yep.
It is fun to play as a goalkeeper. I'm not sure about the mechanic where you dynamically switch roles, because there's been a couple of... I can understand why that's helpful if like a goalkeeper fucks up and you need to quickly jump in for them. But there have been some instances where like I and my keeper have been both on the edge of the box, and suddenly I've become the keeper, and that wasn't intentional. I kind of wish that was like a button, a bit like, you know, the call for the ball mechanic, which like allows you to see the through lines of how to pass to people. I kind of wish that the goalkeeper swap was a bit like Double Dash's Z trigger. You have to both press it to accept the swap. I don't know if that would work well in the heat of the moment, but just wasn't 100% on that mechanic. It just didn't feel quite clean enough for me yet. But it's doing some really cool things. I've seen a lot of people already, like, when they're shooting, they'll deliberately hoof it, like, over the bar so they get a ricochet.
You're not the first person to say that. I've heard so many people already cite that as, like, the way to score, but that's a negative to me.
Right.
Because once you, like, the thing that Rocket League manages to avoid, because it is so simplistic, it's easy to play, it's really simplistic in its mechanics, really complicated, like high skill ceiling, but everything is pure in a sense, whereas this game has like tricks and skills and things that I think might undermine the balance of it long term. We'll see though, because like I say, it's doing more for football than FIFA has done for many a year, and all those kind of things. So I'm interested in it. I just can't see it living up to Rocket League.
All right. Well, you know what? You're wrong. So you're not.
Take that.
Who knows?
There was something Abdul in chat just briefly. It was actually underneath the Game with Passion's question about Rematch. Was saying as a potential topic, just for us to maybe briefly touch on, is Game Pass currently unmissable
right now? Oh my god! I don't know how. I don't know. I honestly question people that sometimes, like, I find it hard to understand why I have trouble convincing people in my own circles. Like in my own circle, most of them have it, but the ones that don't, I'm baffled on why. And it doesn't really click because they seem like they're the type to want this. Like there's Blops there. If that's not for you, Stalker 2. If that's not for you, like there's just so much variety on it at this very moment, even with Rematch coming out and dropping day one, and when that becomes an inevitable hit. I'm really, dude, Doom next month. Like,
yeah,
I really struggle on why it's so hard to get people into it.
I think
especially at the price.
Yeah, I'd answer the answer to this question for me is yes. I think right now it really is like just in terms of what you cited, the variation, but just knowing there's been some flags planted. We know what's coming, and that's really not having Ninja Gaiden coming up at the end of the year.
So many things people care about too.
Outer Worlds 2, Tony Hawk. There's a lot coming that we've built on. And there's probably some things we still don't know about. We'll get that at the game showcase this summer. But I think
for
right
me,
now,
unmissable.
I think it's the best. The best time right now. Since indie, they've really given, I think, some damn good reasons to jump in.
Do we have permission to have one more before we get into community questions, Asa, Lord of the podcast?
Stop pretending that you're seeking my permission for anything.
I do. I need the almighty Asa Games to show me the way. I want you to pay attention to the Eternal Life of Goldman. Now, this game is going to be available on... I'm pressing it for you right there. This game is going to be on, I think, everything. You deleted it. I hate you. It's gonna be on everything.
I And I'm the
from
angry one.
Switch to PC consoles, this game is a love letter to platformers. I think it looks incredible. Like, look at this art style, dude. Like, you play this little adventurer. He's an old dude, has a cane, and it reminds me so much of Shovel Knight. Like, it has so much Shovel Knight DNA in it. As you could see just by how he attacks.
Like, there's a bit of Cuphead in there.
Yes, the style definitely Cuphead, right? Like, it has a very unique art style to it. It blends well with the background. The foreground is so nice. How it controls it looks modern, but not in that weird 2D, 3D sense. Like, everything just has that. It has a good blend of art styles.
The animation looks crazy.
Yeah, this game is just. I can't wait to play this as a platforming fan. Again, one of my favorite games in the platforming genre is Hollow Knight, and this looks like it, but much prettier in my opinion. But in its own way. But yeah, so look at that. It looks like a precision platformer, right?
Yeah,
I guess that's what I like about it, is that Shovel Knight was also a precision platformer, heavy platformer. Like, your character doesn't float in the air, you know. He lands precisely where he wants to jump. But yeah, looks good. So that one, does that do anything for any of you? Goldman?
Yes, that looks great.
Yeah. Asa?
I like his old man hair. I like the detail in the old guy's animations. The way that he moves and the way that the wind blows his hair and his beard around. It's like, yeah, you care about this old guy. I like that. So maybe. It looks like it'll be a high quality platformer when it does come out. As long as it's is a platformer and not a Metroidvania. I don't want a Metroidvania.
I actually don't even know. Yeah, that's a good shout. I don't even know if it's a Metroidvania.
It's a platformer.
It's like a platformer.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you like it, Luke?
Yeah, I love this. I've seen this for a while. It's yeah, I can't wait to play this. I think we've been missing like a really, really responsive 2D platformer for a long time, like a really high quality one, probably since Celeste, actually.
Yes.
That was the last like ridiculously high quality 2D platformer that was solely focused on platforming.
Right.
This one looks really good. It's got a great art style. One thing this does have, and they revealed this a few weeks ago, I think from memory, was it has a ridiculous composing staff on it. So like they've got like a bunch of disparate composers to make like one or two tracks to put in the game, and it's got like Yasunori. Yeah, it's got like Yasunori Nishiki, who did Octopath Traveler, and he did Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So he's doing like a track or two.
Jesus.
And then it's got like some, I think, Mason Lieberman, who was on Overwatch 2. And
they've got these guys for like 2 tracks each.
Yeah, they got them for like 1 or 2 tracks each. And then I think they've got one of the guys who did Wargroove, if anyone remembers that. Which
I love Wargroove.
So like it's got like, if they can, it's incredible artistically, and it will have great music, and if they can nail the platforming, it will be a fantastic game. And the story, obviously, I think the story is really interesting on this. So I think that should be pretty good. But yeah.
Yep, I'm just in love with it. Celeste and Hollow Knight are my 2. I would probably top 5 platformers of all time for me. Don't press delete, Asa. I'll kill you. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and I think that's it for the news cycle. Was not to be found this week, so I think that's all I got. Actually, here you go, Asa. This one here. I just want to shout out in a quick rapid fire topic list here. Diablo is having an update at some point. It's going to bring in Berserk content. There's a entire roadmap for that event, and it all looks really cool, from content like the creatures to kill and all that stuff from the Berserk universe to aesthetics. of the
Blair.
Berserk universe. How dare you? Shh.
Blair. I don't like crossovers of games that take themselves
I don't
seriously.
like you.
No,
Honestly,
like,
it's like he's either been calling things wank or vomiting. Like, what's going on?
This is like the best crossover ever.
No,
like,
but
in my
like,
opinion.
I don't like Nier Automata crossing over with Final Fantasy 14. It's a game that takes itself seriously.
That's not Berserk
Diablo.
and Diablo.
Diablo is a game that takes itself seriously. It has like a pretty well-established universe and many games worth of lore. So to cross over with a completely different IP is what I really dislike.
Berserk
takes itself really seriously.
Yeah, but you don't put them together.
It's
They're not the
arguably as
same
dark as
universe,
Diablo.
are they? But they're different universes, right?
No, but that wasn't your point. You said it was about if they take themselves.
It is my point. It's entirely my point. If a game is trying to have a cohesive lore and universe,
tell me what my point is.
then it needs to stick to its guns and be itself, not put in stuff that's popular, right? It doesn't matter how
It's gonna be skins and stuff, right? It's just
I don't want that.
That's not.
That's just me.
Isn't an odd like. It's not like a left field crossover though. Surely that does make sense thematically that they.
Yeah, thematically.
I don't know Berserk well enough to know how well it does, but unless you're telling me Berserk takes place in the Diablo universe or vice versa, but I don't think so.
It's not like Diablo crossing over with like Minecraft or something like it's.
Diablo X Chainsaw Man.
Like if
like
anything,
Leisure Suit Larry.
I'll be really honest here. I love that we all disagree with Asa on this one, but also is that Berserk thematically it has a lot of ties to stuff like is so thematically accurate to let's say Elden Ring and Diablo. So if you know Berserk, you know thematically these things touch very well. They really do almost invite a collaboration. I don't usually bring the collabs into the discussion, but I highlighted this one specifically because it's a really good collaboration, in my opinion. But you could be wrong, Asa. It's okay. Let happiness into your heart. Get that blade. Buy the $50 cosmetic, Asa. Just do it.
I'll do that. That's fine.
Okay. All right. Anything else on the Berserk stuff? You could even express more hatred if you want, Asa. Hate.
No, because that does fit the Diablo universe quite well. Like it's a whole Vassal of Hatred was the expansion for it, wasn't it? Something like that. Fortunately for me, I'm not in love with Diablo 4 anyway. I didn't like a lot about it, so I've not even finished it. So they can ruin it with crossovers all they want.
Rude. So rude. All right, we have a lot of questions, apparently. Maybe? Do we?
I don't know. Let's have a look.
That was the last
at the questions that we have. My throat really hurts. It hurts to talk. I'm not really angry about everything.
While you look at that, Days Gone Remaster was a day ago.
Oh, that came out.
Did you guys play? Yeah, did you guys play Days Gone at all? I've played it, but the other, Luke or
is in the original or.
Was low hanging.
Yeah. Well, both, whatever. It came out yesterday. So did you touch it at all?
Mm-hmm.
No, I played the original, but I haven't got the remaster.
Did you like it? Are you excited for this one?
I actually really did like Days Gone. Yeah, I think most people who played Days Gone like Days Gone, like generally speaking. But I don't know if I want to revisit it and pay like the £10 upgrade because they already patched it for PlayStation 5 and it to run at 60 for free. And I don't think there's any real visual enhancement other than that. Maybe you can tell me, but I don't think like the remaster moniker actually carries any particular visual improvement.
It's very similar to Last of Us.
Visually,
like
Last of Us 2 remastered. Yeah. So I don't know. That horde mode does look quite cool though, but I just don't know how much I'd play it. Like, how much? Like, is it worth that amount of money just for the horde mode, effectively, and to maybe play the game again? I don't know.
Fair enough.
So on the PC side of it, Just so you know, the visual enhancements are not part of the DLC. They're in the base game already. You do have those, which is
fine.
Perhaps a sign to the fact that they are quite minor.
Yeah.
JT.
What do you say, JT?
Yeah, I'd played in completely the original with my wife, and we really fond of that game, and that was where the £10 upgrade was kind of a no-brainer for us. We were kind of like, yeah, we'd like to dive back in, because we played on a base PS4, so we didn't, the performance issues were quite noticeable on that. Still really enjoyed it, but I think I haven't played it on PS5 since it was patched. So this would be my first time revisiting this game in years, and I've got the PS5 Pro now, so I kind of went, yeah, I'd like to check this out again, and it will be a jolly revisit, I think, just to play that in a slightly more, well, clearly more stable state.
Yep.
So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, I started to download it today, and then I cancelled the download.
Well,
Can we just cancel you?
Tonight, isn't it? That's pretty much it. That's great, isn't it? Yeah. Here I was gonna contribute, and then I thought, no, wank.
Exactly that. That is where
he's gonna do the same thing to Rematch. You know,
right? Yeah, I know. Please, just promise me this: when I inevitably stream it, because I will, just for 7 seconds, jump in my chat on whichever platform, say this is wank, and leave.
That is,
please.
7 seconds is long enough to say this is wank. Yes, I can do that.
Is there any?
Yeah.
Is there any product or game? Any product or game that you do think is good at the moment, Asa? That you would say?
I love
Final
video
Fantasy.
games, Luke.
Final Fantasy 1.
That you don't think is wank.
I love all the games.
There are a lot of games that are wank, but some of the assessments that are coming out tonight are
nonsense.
Yeah, pretty outlandish.
I don't think I said that Oblivion or Clair Obscure were wank, and they were the main.
Yeah, but it was the
topics
tone.
today.
It was the
no, I've got
tone of it,
There's no tone. My wife tried to kill me. There isn't. You're misreading because I'm struggling with the vocals.
Honestly, can we take super chats away? Is there a way to do that? Just to out of spite.
I'm gonna clip every single wank word in this podcast, and then I'm gonna send it back to you for that.
Don't call it a wank montage, because then it'll fuck up.
It only lasts 7 seconds. Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways, indeed. Our next question is from Pete. This is a good question. It's about Expedition 33. He wants to know if you can play it as a pure turn-based game and do all right, or if the QuickTime events are kind of mandatory. You kind of touched on it earlier, but in terms of can you go as far as going into the options and turning those off as an accessibility option, for example, or are they kind of?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't go into options on this game. I don't know if there's an option to turn off the QuickTime events, but you could definitely get through the game without doing the QuickTime stuff. It's just going to be a lot harder. That's all. And it doesn't have random encounters, which is also a turn on for many people, maybe a turn off for such. So what it does well to me is that it has enemies placed in the world that you can go fight to gain experience, and it's not random encounters, so you get the stuff done you want to get done quickly if you want to get it done quickly. But it works like Souls games, that if you find these little expedition flags around the world and you rest there, it'll reset the enemies around you. So yeah, that's really awesome. So you could over level yourself by just doing that as well to get past the battles, or easier to level and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. QuickTime, as I said, QuickTime events are not necessary.
Good. Next question, please. If there are more. I don't know how many we've got today, but. Ooh. Luke, tell me a joke. No, don't tell me a joke. That's mean. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that.
I wouldn't bother tonight, because your reaction, even if it was great, your reaction would be terrible. So.
But also, that in itself, the speed with which you said no, that in itself was funny. So that's great. You tick that box. Just tell us a joke. No.
Absolutely
denied.
not.
Right. Abdel has said today it's King's Day, Koningsdag in the Netherlands, where people sell old stuff across the street. for the King. You picked up I see. You picked up a 360 with games and Days Gone for €25. Have you ever got a good bargain? Have any of you picked up a great bargain? Well, if you've got one gaming related, then focus there. But anything else that's interesting, throw it in.
I will jump in straight away. They are buried somewhere behind me down here. But I managed to pick up a copy of Star Wars Rogue Squadron for.
Whoa.
Oh no, sorry, no. Actually, no. Let me make sure I get the name right. There's a couple of these. Rogue Leader, the first of the 2 GameCube ones. So I got Rogue Leader for £6 on the GameCube, and I just found it in like a little bargain bin place. I was like, that is as jolly as it gets. And also my favorite game of all time.
That's crazy, man.
Literally top of my list of any game ever, which was Beyond Good and Evil. It's my favorite game ever made. I got that for a $5 once in a CEX, and again GameCube copy, just magical. So yeah, they're my 2 little bargains.
Was it already your favorite game before you picked up that copy of it, or did it stem from there?
Yeah. I remember getting Beyond Good and Evil and Prince of Persia: Sands of Time within like a couple of weeks of each other on the GameCube, and Beyond Good and Evil, cemented just as at the time, at launch, was my all-time fave.
Okay, acceptable. Luke, got any?
It's really hard to think.
I also struggle with thinking.
In a way, if you go back in time, I got a great bargain because I bought Steele Battalion for retail under retail price when it came out
with the gear,
and I still with the pedal, the full control scheme,
nice.
Like everything, and I still have it today. So
cool. That's great.
So even the box, I have the box, the manual, and everything still, as far as I'm aware, works. Although I haven't tested it in years.
Shout out to those old school manuals, man! I just adore them. The artwork, the detail.
The Steel Battalion one in particular, because that was actually an A4 sized book.
Oh, dude!
It was like a big.
Nice.
It was like a big chunky boy. I mean, because it had like 47 buttons or something.
Nice.
So yeah, that's probably. I'm not really much of a bargain hunter. Shout out David Dickinson. But I think that was a pretty good one. I got some games when I was in Japan last year, but I wouldn't say they were bargains. Like, they were good prices for the games, but like, it's not as if I got them for like 50p. You know what I mean? So,
Gamzly.
I don't know what the heck a King's Day is, but we don't sacrifice things to the king here in Canada, I think. But in a garage sale, I did find something interesting. I found a unopened Mario 64, like boxed, unopened. These people had no idea what they had, and they sold it to me for $10.
I mean, if it's unopened, surely that's going to be pushing 200 plus now.
Unopened. It blew my freaking mind. I still have it. I think it's at my new place, but I have it. It's like there. I'm gonna display it in the backdrop of my camera at some point. I love that game, so yeah.
Nice.
That was a huge bargain, like giant.
Not bad. But I've got currently active subscription to Game Pass. Beat that.
That's the greatest bargain of all.
Honestly, I mean, just I know the bit, but fuck you.
You see, he shows his colors, Asa.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but Gamzly, back me up here, man. That's justified. Just a douchebag tonight. What's going on? My throat hurts.
Just to get out of his bad takes.
What did I do wrong?
My throat.
You don't like Game Pass? What's going on here?
You just take that grumpy cock out of your throat, and then you'll be fine.
This is the JT we told you all about. Next question is, will you still do it if Tom isn't here to ask? Nope, we won't. I think some people know what that's referring to. Next question, please. Go on then, fine. What's not to like?
Asa's takes on everything today.
Hey, why are you all like this? I'm gone even lower.
Yeah. That's it.
Wait, I've got the microphone.
Absence of throat lozenges in Asa's orbit.
They won't do anything.
Yeah.
You can just say me. It can be all of you can just say me.
No,
I'll accept it.
I mean, you are one of the ones. But I'm trying to think of others.
Look at that miserable forehead just poking out on that green screen.
Yeah.
It's also discolored. Are you sick?
Oh.
That discolored, miserable forehead poking out.
Streaming bit rates, which is a very specific one, but they're not to like. They're so low. They're so low. They need to be higher.
Agreed. And they also need to make more sense. I don't.
Yeah, I don't
really know why. If I put 6,000 arbitrarily into OBS, it seems to like it. So that's odd.
Yeah, and particular like like media streaming is in like Disney Plus or Netflix. Their 4K streaming bit rates are not very good, and it's annoying. It's annoying me.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Luke, we didn't talk about Andor or Last of Us. Did you watch those yet?
I haven't. Well, I've watched The Last of Us, but I haven't watched Andor yet.
Oh man, I'm so excited.
But I'm watching. I'll be on a plane tomorrow, so I've got a couple of episodes to watch. Then
yes, please.
I need to finish Daredevil. Actually, I've got like 2 episodes left. I'm really behind.
The last 2 are bangers.
Yeah. The whole series is terrific.
Oh, awesome.
Blow that up and just watch Andor.
Andor's on my list. Yeah, all of the above. Big thumbs up.
So yeah, JT, what's not to like?
Speaking of Last of Us, so here in the UK, it's on Now TV. Is how we get it.
It is.
It's the thing that gives like it. They have all the HBO shows. They have like a partnership with Sky.
Yeah.
Sky kind of partly own them, so kind of it's the one way to watch things like Succession, Game of Thrones, and obviously now Last of Us. And I find Now TV's like the structure of their subscription really egregious. Like you pay like £9 a month for the actual content. And then in order to get it in not 720p quality, and by the way, that's not me just doing a bit, that's literally, they stream it at 720p quality. You have to pay an additional £7 if you want it 1080p, and it's an additional £9 if it's 4K.
Yeah.
And that, I think that is egregious in terms of like the way that's been monetized. And scalable packages on subscription services aren't an issue for me at all. Like I think there should be different flavors, like an ad-supported version, and then like which is cheaper, and then like that. All that stuff's fine. But deliberately charging more just to increase the quality of it is shite, and that is what is not to like. And I begrudge that hugely.
Yeah. And then the bit the bit rate for Now TV is only like 15. I know. So I got the other day I got a 4K Blu-ray player, right? And because I was like I really I kind of want to just divert slightly back to physical media with that stuff because the quality is so high, and I haven't had a Blu-ray like obviously I had like the ones in like your PlayStations and Xboxes and such, but I hadn't a dedicated one for a while, and I got it, and like it's a really good one. It's Panasonic, and it has this really cool feature of it's just a standard feature really, but you can just press a button, it shows you all the information about whatever media you're playing, including the bitrate. And I put like I was like, I might just pull out one of my old 1080p Blu-rays, like 'cause I have a few, and I pulled out Casino Royale, Daniel Craig's Casino Royale. Fantastic film, and I put that in and I looked, and the bit rate on that is 30 megabits per second on a 1080p Blu-ray, and it looks like the quality is so high compared to any streaming service at the moment, apart from maybe Apple TV Plus, which can go pretty high.
Yeah.
And all of this is just superfluous nerdy nonsense, but it both.
But it does. No, but it does.
It really makes a big difference when you actually paying like, a more significant amount of money for the 4K version of like a particular service, right? To get that thing, and actually what you're getting is not
Not even
great.
close.
Like it's not even close because it's just mashed
I hear
up.
you. I think also it becomes even more apparent the absence of value there when you're then also juggling multiple subscription services, which I do. You know, I've got Netflix, Prime, Now TV, and Paramount, and Apple, which I get that with my phone contract. But that you are juggling then a lot. You then throw Now TV's service into there with the way they do their packages, and it really sticks out for sure. I don't actually know if Asa's still here. That could be a still image.
There he is.
There it is. No, that was green screen. That's a little stick man hand that's just been poking up out of there.
I was just watching the whole time. I like his dedication to this bit.
No,
you
I'm
know?
stuck.
That must be uncomfortable.
It's like giving you like lower back pain. Like that's not
it's
ideal.
Great. It's great with the Doom Eternal. That is Doom Eternal in the background, right?
It is.
It's great with the background because he looks like he doesn't want the demon to see him.
Yeah,
sort of just like.
And then his choice of cover in that world is a small desk chair.
Yeah,
it's a small desk chair that's see-through. It has a see-through back.
Exactly. Yeah,
he'll never know.
It's a reasonable crossover. Desk chairs and Doom Eternal.
Desk chairs and Doom.
It's actually. I'm finding it quite uncomfortable just hearing.
That'd be a great skin for the Doom Slayer.
It must be quite uncomfortable because I don't know if anyone knows this, but Asa's quite tall. So him to dedicate all that length to like swiveling down the chair is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So much length, but no positivity.
What's the next question, Asa?
The next question is for you, Gamzly. It's from Pete. It says, Gamo, why has Asa been a bad boy today?
Well, Pete, there's many reasons. One, he has a sore throat, you know. His wife choked him.
Yeah, stop whining. Sore throat, nobody cares.
That's it. Soft throating? Anyways, I got nothing for you. He doesn't want me to show my legs on stream. That's why he's being all fussy. I tried to convince him, Pete. That's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. Any other questions?
If I said something like, if I had like a buzzword, a keyword, would it cause you to suddenly pop back up?
No, I literally can't very easily get back up without knocking things over. Otherwise, it would be there by now. Let me consider my approach and see if I can get up without breaking my desk. Don't look.
Jeez, you weren't kidding. You really were like on the floor.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. He was.
Yeah, that wasn't comfortable. I mean, it was all right, but getting up was a bit tricky. I'm back. So, the next question is from Stephen Murray, voice actor. How does one get a discolored, miserable forehead? Well, we don't have time for my life story, Stephen, or I would give it to you. There's a lot that goes into it. There is a lot that goes into it. So,
he doesn't drink enough water.
I want to give a shout out to Stephen Murray, the legend that he is. That is the voice of the Knockout City DJ. Dear friend of mine, absolute legend. Thank you so much for jumping into chat.
Yes, thank you, Stephen. But I'm afraid I can't give you a full answer to that question because there is 42 years to cover in there. Next question, please. That might be all of them, I think, actually. I think that was our last question. So, thank you, everyone that has submitted questions, or the people that just come along and chatted to us or been idle in the background. Either way, even if you're watching after the fact, much, much appreciated. And we'll start to wrap up now. So, let's go round in order. JT, thanks for joining us again. Hope you had a wonderful time despite my misery and your rage issues. Tell people what you're up to with Bloody Bird Media.
Well, look, dude, I just said it at the top of the show, but I'll say it again. I feel a part of this community, and that's because of all of you guys. So thank you so much for that. It's great to be here. You can find us on all of the things at Burly Bird Media. We have various different flavors of podcasts across. We've got interviews on our Some Drivel show. We have a gaming podcast, which we shoot live on a Wednesday night, Twitch and YouTube. but also various other bits and pieces. We have a review show now, a Star Trek podcast. I have some podcasts, one with the legendary Jeff Steitzer, the voice of the multiplayer announcer from Halo. We have a recurring show there, which is really, really good fun. It's a privilege to be able to call him a friend, much like Stephen Murray. And we are also now over on Discord, so please do consider jumping in, checking us out. We're at Birdybird Media on everything. Thank you again for having me. This has been a treat.
Treat for us as well, sir. Thank you very much. Gamzly.
Yes. Yes, Asa.
That's it.
Outros?
Okay. Yeah, go on then. You have my permission to speak.
I was just being consistent. If you don't want to get abused by JT and his media stuff, you could get abused in X. You could follow me and all my ridiculous takes on stuff at Gamzly TKD, pretty much everywhere. Many more things to announce at a later date. Just join us on on Asa's Discord at Gaming Arcadia, and just watch all this good content. It's great, and this panel is awesome, and there's more to come.
I actually prefer it when you call it our Discord rather than my Discord, because it is a community thing. So yes, get in there, everybody. It's a good place to talk games and things without all the mess of Twitter. James has just thrown in a super chat as well. He's in competition with Pete, but James, thank you for it, for the support, always. Luke.
Me.
I think that's you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Join the Discord, and a pleasure as usual to everyone.
I love you,
That's
Luke.
it.
Brief.
Thank you. Brief. I'm just keeping it. You gotta
Cut it
nice
out,
and concise, right?
It was.
Simple.
Got the important stuff across.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
Throw a thumbs up.
The end of the round table for today. Oh yeah, there is this that thumbs up button on the YouTube that people can click if they want to. Pete's just thrown in with another super chat as well. More super chat war. 5 is a no multiples of 2. Well, it's turning into a maths war as well. It's too much for me, but thank you again, Pete. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to hit the end button now. Next week, my throat will be better, and I'll stop saying that everything is wank. Maybe.
No.